speaking of altcoins and everything, the other thing I'm wrestling with right now is the only thing I really have to sell is, I mean, I have Bitcoin, fortunately. Otherwise, I'd be on suicide watch.
ETH just staying still and everything else pumping.
What I did, thankfully, was like, I don't want to buy a lot of Bitcoin, but I'm going to buy a wrapped Bitcoin, which is like Bitcoin that lives on Ethereum. And then I'm going to put it in a maker vault that lets me like leverage it so it like actually does something. So I basically have like 30% levered Bitcoin in my portfolio. So that's been doing great. And it's been making me like feel sane, like as like ETH is like, come on, do something. But if I take a step back and think about like, okay, what was the plan going into this? Going into this, there was the idea of ETH seasonality.
January.
Right? Ethuary, as Ben Cohen probably coined it. ETH is not coming home, Ben. It's not coming home. It's not fucking coming home. God.
By coming home, he meant going to about $500.
Yeah.
But he did call the ETH BTC ratio pretty well
So far.
I mean, it's been going down, and he's like, look, it's going down. Like, no shit. No shit, Sherlock. Come on.
I sense some feelings. You want to get him out now, or you could lay down on the couch there and we could talk about it?
It's fine. Okay. You want to have some balls, Ben? You do what I did. You go to the bottom here. You go, this is the bottom, and then you buy, okay? When it looks terrible. When everybody else is like, it's dead, you buy there, and then you can do something. Don't like post chart going down and be like, look how chart goes down. Wow. Unbelievable. Anyway, that was the thesis coming in. And this does happen every time. Like if you pull up a chart of Ethereum and you look at like November, December, and January, you will sort of notice that there's this trend of ETH getting wrecked in the fall, and then like if you like condense the returns of ETH to like I would bet that like 70% of the returns of ETH come in like January and February. It's like unbelievable.
That'd be
it's
sweet.
So condensed. It just does nothing like the rest of the year.
It's a late bloomer in the beginning of a bull cycle, always. Or at least
Yeah, and like we always talk about it. It's like so funny. This is I don't even, what is this, my fourth cycle now? Third cycle? I don't know. I can't even keep track. But the same thing happens every time, right? If it's a good cycle, Bitcoin leads with spot, ideally, not people just degenerating futures and perps and whatever derivatives, but spot. And this has been like a good like spot-led rally. It was good. It's healthy. And then the same thing happens. Like Bitcoiners gloat. They're like, Bitcoin, you dumb shitcoiners. And then it shines for like 3 months. And then it like underperforms the rest of the cycle, time and time again. And there's always a reason why it's going to be different. Like this time, it's like, oh, there's an ETF. It's going to be different. Will it be? I don't know. Probably not. I would argue probably not. Like Bitcoin probably gets ruined by a bunch of alts.
Hang on. So just so I'm clear, because I didn't get into crypto as early as you guys did, right? I started in 2019. And when I saw Bitcoin do what you're describing, like, it wasn't like game over. Like when the rotation happens, it's not like game over for Bitcoin either, right? Like it grinds higher as like alts moon, right? So like you're not calling like game over for Bitcoin here at 48,000 or something.
No. And I think there's like some context here. Like depending on who's listening to this right now, this is a very different strategy decision depending on whether you are somebody who just like has a portfolio and you're like a doctor or something, and you just want to buy crypto like you buy stocks and not look at it ever, then like Bitcoin's a good thing to buy because you don't have to pay attention to it. It goes up, it goes down, and most of it goes up. It's going to be one of the winners in the long run, and that's cool. You don't care if it underperforms over a 6 month period.
There's like pretty high certainty with that trade. You can just sort of buy it whenever.
But like I would argue it's pretty easy to like outperform Bitcoin, like if you just pay attention to crypto all the time.
Just try a little bit.
If you just try a little bit. And if you're that type of person, like I don't know, maybe you're 21, you got $5,000 in the bank account, and you're just like, I'm gonna make it. Like this might be the last crypto cycle. Yeah, you don't buy Bitcoin. You just don't. That person shouldn't buy Bitcoin. That person should be like looking for all the cheap hot alts and just buy those and try to get out. It's easier said than done, but like, of course that's going to outperform Bitcoin. Like if you can nail the, like if you basically realize that this is the beginning of the cycle, you could basically just throw a rock at a wall of random altcoins and they'll, outperform Bitcoin. But like, that's assuming you buy the bottom and sell the top, which is easier said than done, of course.
Right.
But back to what I was saying earlier, like my plan was still hold ETH through January, February, and then maybe think about doing like some hardcore rotations. And I have like a little tasty bag just so like I don't lose my mind with stuff.
You got any losers you could sell instead of ETH?
I don't have any losers I can sell right now.
What's it like to lose?
I haven't lost money since 1993.
You're on kind of a hot streak.
I mean, so it was hard to lose this year if you bought anything at the beginning of the year.
So you lever a little bit, pay the VIG for a month or two.
I don't know. I just don't know if I want to be buying alts here end of the year. Bitcoin's like 45,000 or whatever. It's. I feel like you always get a dip. You always get like a little.
We're on a quite of a ripper right now.
It's too much of a ripper, and I feel like a retrace, just some little pullback would be healthy. I think that's the kind of thing that leads people to think, "Oh, is this over?" But I feel like a 20% pullback is just so
like velocity matters, right? When we're talking about price changes, like how much does it go up and how quickly does it go up? Like if you mentioned Benjamin Cohen, he has these risk levels. They seem to very clearly take in velocity. And then you look at RSI, that takes into account time and how fast things go up. We're kind of peaking, hitting the upper bands of risk. So yeah, I don't think I want to be cute about it and trade it. I'm not good enough.
Yeah, I think now is not the time to be cute, by the way. Yeah. I think that you can kind of, you go through this 2-year period where you're trading ranges. It goes up, it goes down. It's mostly going down. You're trying to like take these like small wins and get out, and then you get into that mentality, and then it becomes like bull season. It's just like up only easy mode, and then people like mess it up.
Right.
Like we had somebody in the Discord like a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, being like, "I'm just selling everything here. It just feels like too high." And I wanted to like kind of be like, but then I'd stop. I don't ever want to tell people what to do with their money. Like the worst thing to do is like somebody's like, I want to sell, and you're like, don't sell.
Hey, I want to take
it's
profits.
The worst. Like I would never do that.
Never tell people. I don't think you ever tell people what to do with their money unless it's like a advisory relationship where that's your job. Like because like I'm reluctant to do that all the time. Like in our Discord particularly. Where
because you do that for a living.
Well,
and you understand the like fiduciary responsibility.
Should I buy this or this? I'm like, if you think that this is going to happen, then it makes sense to do this. But like, I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Like this is the first cycle where I didn't tell everybody to buy a bunch of stuff. Like I had a couple group chats like this summer, and I texted the group chat and I was like, buy Bitcoin, buy ETH, buy coin. Do it now. And then that was it. And I just never said anything ever again. And but before I was like, you gotta buy. It's just like lose. It's just like if they make money, they're mad that they didn't buy a different coin because it went up more.
Yeah.
If they lose money, they hate you. Then they ask you when to sell, which is like, it's just devastating.
Eric, what was your week like?
I'm buying things. Like I'm just
TradFi things
and crypto. I'm just bullish. Like I stopped doing the covered calls on my crypto stuff because like this doesn't feel like the environment where I want to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm long crypto, and I don't like sort of like fucking around too much in the crypto space, which I don't know if we want to go into that right now, but this could be the time for us to go into this conversation where it's like I'm viewing the crypto portfolio from probably a different angle that you guys are, but I would like to get your opinion on it. Where I'm at is like I have this crypto bag, right? And I want to hold the things that I feel best about. It's not sort of like this like spray and pray mentality, right? And Nick and I were talking about this offline, where it's like I don't like putting dust around, sprinkling it all over the place, and then like hopefully it
By
10X
2,000 here.
I don't like putting $1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever. Like I want to like have conviction in my buys, even on like the small sort of small caps, shit coins, whatever you want to call them. Like even with those, I like want to pick my spots and swing at them. So I think as I'm sort of like building out this like target portfolio, you know, one thing that's happened is I think I was over allocated to this ETH idea, you know, like which is still like core, you know, like Nick, you described it as this, like you have this like core portfolio that you want to be long, and you would include Bitcoin, ETH, maybe Solana in that. Mine was pretty much just ETH, and like that core portfolio just being ETH was too concentrated. And I want to expand the core to include sort of other blue chippy things that I believe in that are like making money, you know, kind of like blue chip DeFi, some stuff that I like, that I still consider like core, that I'm like okay allocating 8% of a portfolio to, you know, between 5 and 10% to, that I do think can make money.
Okay. So let's just talk about your crypto portfolio. What percentage do you want to have in like say ETH, BTC, and then what percentage do you want to have in other?
I think like if we include Bitcoin too, because like I've kind of like waffled back and forth between being all ETH and then like some Bitcoin, and right now I'm like back in the some Bitcoin camp. I've always had like between 10 and 20% Bitcoin, maybe
of your crypto portfolio.
My crypto portfolio. But I always looked at that as like kind of like how Buffett looks at his like cash position. He's just like, I just keep this, you know, like. And now that Bitcoin has like a very clear use case, which it already is doing. Like my problem with Solana and ETH and all these other layer ones that are like smart contract platforms, we still don't know what their use case is in their end state. Bitcoin is currently doing what it's intending to do. So that to me is like, that deserves more than I probably allocated to it before.
Can I ask you, are you tilting because it's, or have you asked yourself, are you tilting because it's Bitcoin season?
Like possibly, like when price goes, it does cause you to like reconsider your thesis. And I think perhaps
that you're okay. It's a possibility that you could be tilting slightly because it's
okay. So
everyone's
like,
talking about it.
I remember, you know, like prior to our 2019 sit downs that we described on Bankless, where we like, you guys taught me about crypto and stuff. I had friends who were like Bitcoiners, and they were like telling me, you got to just buy Bitcoin, whatever. And this was back in like 2015, 16, 17. And I'm like rejecting all of it. But I do think that even at that time, I was thinking like, all right, well, even if that is true, I can see Bitcoin going to 150K or wherever it goes. Like at like during that time, I was thinking, well, I can make more money elsewhere. But now I'm in a place where I don't actually like want to make the most money. I want to just sort of like glide.
Easy street.
I just kind of want to glide and ride this wave as it comes without like having to paddle too hard, I suppose, because just like you guys said, you said it yourself a second ago, like you don't want to pussyfoot around too much and overtrade this thing and get too cute, because like when this goes, it goes. And, you know, I want to be exposed to it, but without blundering, you know, like it's so easy to just blunder your way around.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you think about, there's these two approaches, right? The one approach is like, I want to have conviction. I want to go all in on like two things. And then the other approach is like, I want to scatter my money like dust in the wind across many.
So I think like the spectrum is going to be, Eric is at one spectrum, you're at the other, and I'm probably somewhere in the middle. And it's funny because...
Is that what you think? Is that what you think I am?
I think so. I think I have evidence to prove it. But you have 4 cycles under your... This will be your 4th. This will be my 3rd. This will be your 2nd, Eric, cycle, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But I do understand that when you are in that bull, you might have a lot more volatility, but there is some outsized returns. I think I'm more in the 70-30 camp. I want 70% in Bitcoin, ETH mostly. And then the rest of the 30% in some themes.